Take a journey with us through a conversation about transformational festivals. This is Skull Babylon, and on this episode of Paradigm Shift Radio, we welcomed on Jeet K and Zach, who are part of the creative team behind the online web series documentary, The Bloom Series, a new perspective on the culture behind transformational festivals, what they are about, how they are changing lives, and why this story is worth sharing with the world. We opened up the lines to other callers to expand the conversation further, and we encourage you to explore your own experiences at one of these festivals when the time is right. Check out more about the Bloom Series and watch episode 1 online once it goes live at thebloomseries.com. Join us for future episodes of Paradigm Shift Radio for more conscious community expression, invite more friends to get involved, reach out for infinity, and enjoy the show.
Have you ever had an experience where you and hundreds, if not thousands, of other people have gathered in a single space to be able to partake in a celebration of life, creativity, consciousness, and to be able to synchronize your energies within a single moment, within that single breath, and to be able to genuinely feel vibrationally, emotionally, spiritually, mentally, the love emanating from that moment, and knowing that within that instant, it is that experience, it is experiences such as that one that remind you as to why you are actually in this existence, to be able to feel connected, to be able to feel alive, to be able to have vibrancy, to be able to want to share that with other people. Well, if you had an experience like that, odds are it was probably at a transformational festival. And that's the topic that we're going to be talking about tonight on Paradigm Shift Radio, and I am your co-host, neo-gonzo journalist of the future, Skull Babylon, aka Brendon Culleton, and you're listening to Paradigm Shift Radio on behalf of www.paradigmshiftcentral.com. So if anybody can just confirm for me in the live chat that the audio is coming through okay, and we will just continue to keep moving along here, guys. I'm pretty sure everything is a-okay for this episode, and I got a pretty good feeling about it. Obviously, you know, for those of you who have been tuned in, we've had a pretty good track record here on Paradigm Shift Radio in terms of people who we have onto the air with us, whether they be specific special guests or just you, the community, getting involved, sharing your voice, and there's going to be more chance for that later in the show tonight. And tonight is no exception. Tonight we are going to be having on the creative team of the new online documentary series, The Bloom Series, with us here tonight. So in specific, that's going to be Zach and that's going to be Jeet K. So those two are going to be with us here on the show tonight. And we'll have them on within the next couple moments, and I may just need to take a couple seconds to make sure that technically we are in the right place to be able to bring both of them on. So, Zach, if you're listening, if you can just confirm for me in the just on Facebook that you are actually in the queue. I think I see you already, but we'll get that figured out in a second. But just in terms of what Paradigm Shift Radio is, for those of you who may be new to the show, Paradigm Shift Radio is a chance for us as a community to express our thoughts and ideas and to practice having conversation that we might not otherwise get a chance to have in normal public sphere. So this is us creating our own public sphere digitally to be able to bring together a collective global community. And more specifically, ParadigmShiftCentral.com is a hub for at this point, over like 70 global Paradigm Shift communities. So if you're interested in starting a Paradigm Shift community, go to www.paradigmshiftcentral.com or facebook.com/paradigmshiftcentral. Check out those links there. There's tips and tricks on how to get started, and we are always encouraging people on creating a community in their own, because that's when you get the synchronicities occurring. And a lot of you have been listening in the past have heard me talk about this. But again, just simple reminder, go to those websites, check it out if you're new to it, and be inspired. That is what we're here to do. You are not alone. So in terms of just other community news, I'll just give a quick shout out just in terms of some of the pages who helped share the episode for today. So a quick shout out to Cosmic Consciousness, which has shared the link for the episode in the past, and I'm posting a link for their Facebook page. So facebook.com/cosmicness. And the next one is also the Rainbow Warrior community, and they have also shared the link for the show in the past, so shout out to them as well, facebook.com, and just run a search on Rainbow Warrior community, so you can go to the live link into right out of the live chat, and also go to the page for the Wave 1111. They have shared the link in the past, and great appreciation for them in doing so, because it helps us get the link out there even more. And also another one, excuse me if this is causing the show to lag by any means. I'm just grabbing a new link here. But a quick shout out to the Collective Evolution page. And they've shared the link for the show in the past as well. And I'll just mention this also. For those of you tuning in, go to facebook.com/collective evolution page. Like, that's what the actual address is, because they have their own radio show that they are doing, and the Collective Evolution team is a team. They're a documentary crew team in their own way as well, and they release the online documentary, The Collective Evolution. Some of you are quite familiar with that, and they do their own radio show, and I'm actually going to be a guest on their radio show this coming Monday to talk about my own story, a bit more about paradigm shift, get into more background details as to like my own awakening, and also be able to promote the Journey to Lucidity project, which is something I'm segueing into now. So again, tune into that on Monday, and I'll post the links through the facebook.com/paradigm shift radio, and obviously like that page if you have not already also. So in terms of what I was just talking about, the segue going to the Journey to Lucidity, please, if you have not yet, be sure to check that out at gofundme.com/Journey to Lucidity. Fitting in theme with this whole episode being all about transformational festivals, the Journey to Lucidity is a project that I am doing independently with the help of some other very, very important people within this whole sphere. And it's going to be me attending the Lucidity Festival, which is coming up very soon. It's less than a month away in California, and I'm still looking on raising more funds towards that, because the more funds I can get contribute to that, the more potential I have to just like make it as epic as I can foresee it as, and I have the thoughts in my mind, and it's going to be a really interesting documentary. And I'll talk about some more, maybe more on the Collective Evolution show or just here and there. But it's going to be very cool, because it's going to be very, like, from the perspective of myself. But I'm not just going to be playing myself. Like, I'm going to be playing the role of the observer. I'm going to be playing the role of the conscious observer. So I'm going to be, like, filling in for us. You know, who we are as like the awakening process happening individually, and the whole idea that the micro is the macro, my story is your story, and within this whole story, within the Journey to Lucidity film, it's going to reflect this global awakening that's sort of happening, but sort of represented within a personal scale of one person's story over the course of this festival. And there's going to be a lot going on within the film, and I've got some, like I said, like I'm really being inspired by my own dreams in terms of what to put into the film, and I'm sharing it with you because it's really exciting. And I'm not going to give too much away, because nothing is concrete at this point. But there's going to be some really important themes and elements, and there's going to be a lot of yin and yang to it, and that's something that is really important with this whole element. So look forward to that. And also, again, if you have not donated, please do so. So please go to gofundme.com/Journey to Lucidity or paradigmshiftcentral.com/JTL and check out the links for there. And again, just please donate. And excuse me 1 second, in case you probably just heard that, we do have a guest in the studio today with us, and that's my dog Shelby. So shout out to my dog Shelby. Shelby, say hello. You're on the internet radio. Yeah, he knows. 1 second, I just have to open the door for him. Twiddle your thumbs. 1 second. Okay. All right. So yeah, no, he got your shout outs there, so don't worry. All right. So, yeah, Journey to Lucidity, check that out. Please donate. Thank you to those who have donated so far. There have been 3 donations within the last time that we did this show. And, again, you know, like if I were just looking at this from potential, a bunch of people listen to this show now. The show is getting out there more and more each week, just, you know, in terms of handfuls of new people. And with those new people who do find out about it, there is a potential for them to be able to donate. And, again, like when I say donate, yes, I do mean in terms of space cash, but you can donate in other ways. You know, donation can also be simply by getting it out there, by sharing it on your page. A donation of putting forth your energy towards this project and helping it get more into the collective consciousness. That is one way of donating. But yes, in addition to that, space cash is definitely fundamental to helping this project move forward with the utmost potential. So namaste to all those who contribute to that in whatever way they choose. So yeah, and I just had a couple other like small sort of stories. And obviously, okay, in terms of Lucidity Festival, www.lucidityfestival.com, check that out. And maybe for those of you who haven't heard in the past, and I do just want to mention this, and we'll bring on the two guests in a couple minutes. If not, then I think we may just be bringing on Zach at first if Jet K is still getting some things figured out, but we'll sort it out. But what I was just going to mention, in terms of those of you who may be new to this, feel free to check out paradigmsessential.com/JTR, and that's the link for the Journey to Rockmont 3 Days of Light documentary, which, again, like when I first found out about the Bloom series, I was working on the Journey to Rockmont documentary, and I was like, whoa, this is awesome. Like, I'm not the only one like going out there trying to tell the story about what these amazing transformational festivals are about and how they can change lives. These guys are doing it too, and that's when I got in contact with them. That's when I contacted Zach and so forth. But I was just mentioning that because for those of you who haven't heard about it, feel free to check that out. It's a full-length documentary online, and that can give you a sample of my work previously up to this point to give you like incentive to be able to like fund the Journey to Lucidity project. And I also just wanted to mention that because there is some recent news that there is going to be another 3 Days of Light coming up within this year. Dates are not set yet, but go to the Emergence Earth website, so www.emergenceearth.com, and I know they do have a newsletter there that you can sort of sign up for. And I know our good buddy Scott Love has been putting out some word here and there, so they got another Facebook group on Facebook. And just keep your ears open, because if you're interested in the 3 Days of Light documentary and you were thinking about attending it this year, just stay in the loop and you'll find out news about that festival as well as some other projects that I know Scott Love is working on. So stay tuned for that. I'm sure we'll hear more about it as well, and that just, again, goes in themes with the whole lucidity and transformational festivals that we were talking about here today. And I was just going to mention, I just want to share with you a quick funny story just to sort of like set the pace as to like where things are getting at. And it's just a really crazy synchronicity that happened with me. And basically, a couple days ago, I was, so again, this is like not totally separate, but it's just a small story, and then we'll bring on the two guests in 1 second here, but it's just kind of crazy to share. A couple days ago, I emptied, literally yesterday, I was going through all my coins, and I went to a bank to deposit all my coins because they have this new coin counter machine. So instead of having to roll them up individually, you just dump them into this machine and it counts it up for you. So I was like, whoa, this is awesome, right? I've been saving these coins for like 6 or 7 years now. And when I went there, and obviously I was depositing them to like get this money to be able to put towards the Journey to Lucidity project, and I put them all in and stuff, and there was a bunch. It was over like $100 worth in coins. But when I was doing it, before I put the coins in, when I was just like sorting it out in my bed, I was taking out a bunch of the quarters because I wanted to be able to sort them out and save some of my quarters for bus change and so forth that I would still need them for. And then I did that, and I went to the bank, deposited all my coins, and then after all that, and I even picked out a couple more quarters just while I was standing there at the bank. And then I did that, and as the bank was counting up the quarters and everything, it was getting closer, and it was at about like 70, and I was like, oh man, like I got a feeling it's going to land on 96 quarters. And for those of you who've been listening in the past, you'll know that 96 is like my big like resonating number. Everybody sort of has like different resonating numbers. You can create and program your own. 96 is just one that's specific for me. Like it's tattooed into my wrist. It's something I've always resonated with. It's relevant to like my zodiac sign being Cancer. And so basically, long story short, crazy synchronicity, the amount of quarters dumped into this machine that was built up over, like X number of years based on saving and putting stuff into this bucket equaled up to exactly 96 quarters. And I was just like, whoa, like, nice one, universe. I was just like, slap on the knee and like bro fist sort of thing. I was like, good one, well played. So that was just ridiculously synchronistic and just something I wanted to share with you guys. I'm sure you guys have your own crazy synchronistic stories that you'd be more than happy to share with us here and there. So again, just in terms of what you can expect on the show tonight, we will be having Jet and we will be having Zach on in a minute. And I know that Jet won't be able to stick around for too long, so I'm not going to dawdle anymore. And later in the show, we will be welcoming you guys on to share your own experiences from transformational festivals. That's really what we're looking for in this episode. So if you've been to a transformational festival, even if it's one from like back in like the 60s and 70s, because I know our demographic is quite broad for this show. If you've been to a transformational festival of any kind and you have some sort of story that you'd just like to be able to share with us, then please consider calling into the show later into the episode. So we're going to just before we bring Zach and Jet K onto the show, I'm just going to play for you a quick sample of some audio off of the trailer for the Bloom series documentary. So this is the first 2 minutes off of the video that they have posted promoting the series, and it just gives you like a bit of a feel to it. And you hear Jet K talking, and he's the first voice that you hear talking, Jeet K. And so just listen to this, and if you're still just like browsing the internet while you're doing this, please right now go to www.thebloomseries.com as well as www.facebook.com/thebloomseries and check out their pages and support their work and what they're doing, because their first full episode is going to be launching in the next week. So stay tuned for that. And again, here is just a nice little audio sample to give you a taste and a feel of what this video online documentary series project is about. So stay tuned.
Amidst the global crisis of a dysfunctional old paradigm, a new renaissance of human culture is underway. The Bloom, a groundbreaking new documentary web series, illuminates the blossoming phenomenon of transformational festivals, immersive participatory realities that are having profound, life-changing effects on hundreds of thousands of lives.
Over the course of 4 episodes, we'll explore the alchemy of themes that point the way to a new world where, as a shared humanity, we don't just survive, we thrive and emerge into our greatest potential. Our first episode of The Bloom illuminates the fundamental frequencies required to be a whole human, examining how transformational festivals create immersive environments of inspiration, which for participants become containers for peak experiences of connection, very often catalyzing powerful healing processes with lasting and positive life-changing effects.
More than being inspired by music festivals itself, it's being inspired by the shift, by the personal change, by the connection.
Where it's not just the musician and then the audience, it's really this co-creative experience that we're all moving towards, where everyone has something to offer to that.
These festivals are really doorways to open a whole life-altering change.
All right, guys, so there you go. That was a quick sample, audio-wise, of the trailer that is up for the Bloom series, and you can visit that trailer, check it out at www.thebloomseries.com. So with that said, we are going to bring on some of the creative production team behind this, and first of all, we're going to bring Zach on. So Zach, if you're ready, we're going to bring you onto the air. So here we go. Hello, Zach. You're with us.
Yeah, man, I'm here. How you doing?
All right. Thanks a lot, man. Thanks for being here with us tonight. And do we have Jeet K? Is he dialing in on his cell phone?
Jeet is currently working on, it's been a rough technology day, or a couple days.
Oh, yeah.
I'll say that. So,
you guys have been busy, no doubt.
We've been very busy getting ready. So he's currently working on dialing in however he can. He should be here in just a couple minutes.
All right, okay. I'm keeping an eye open for him in the queue. So, so it'll work out. And, I can hear my dog barking at me from the background there, but we'll just make do with that. But anyway, so, Zach, welcome to the show. And, just tell the people a little bit in your own words what this documentary series is about, what you hope to accomplish with it.
Well, what it is over the last year, we've been visiting over 23 different festivals and filming. So we're trying to explore the culture that has arisen out of these temporary autonomous zones with sort of new paradigms of self-expression and co-creation, inspiration, and sort of trying to show that these events and these festivals, these transformational festivals, are the fruiting bodies of a worldwide network and a global culture of people that have values that we find are much more from the heart and much more aligned with, I think, maybe how we feel that culture should be upheld.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and so okay, let me hold on. I think we have GK with us calling in right now. Let me just check one here. Do you know, is his Scape Maze Guider?
Yeah,
you know
that would be GK.
Yeah? All right, okay. We're gonna bring Jeet onto the air, and he'll jump in on this conversation. So here we go. Hello, Jeet. Are you with us? GK?
Yeah, I am.
Perfect. All right.
I'm now.
Everybody is here. All right. So.
Hi, GK.
Hey, Zach. Hey, brother.
All right. So, Jeet. Welcome to Paradigm Shift Radio. It's a pleasure having you guys here tonight, especially as fellow filmmakers, which is why I was so looking forward to this conversation, because it's always interesting to hear the visionary perspective that other people have when they set out on that huge quest to be able to capture a moment and create a story out of it. So GK, I'm not sure if you actually heard what Zach said there, but maybe if we can just get in your own words. Well, first of all, let's just introduce yourselves as to like what your role is within this project, and then what you hope to accomplish with it.
Sure. Yeah. Thanks. Well, I'm wearing a number of hats for the project. Officially, director, producer, writer, host, and music director, and collaborating in a few of those roles, number of those roles, but. And for the intention of the series, well, I would just say that this culture has really been pivotal in my own life for the past 15 years. And I've come to the point where I've been a strong believer in, I think, the medicine and the model that we've been brewing in transformational festivals, transformational festival culture, and is reaching a new level of maturity, and I think it feels like what we're getting from everyone is that we're ready to have our story shared in a really good way, and that's the goal of the series, is to really share our story and to help illuminate what it is that
Hold on, somebody's moving their mic there. I think that might have been Zach. Sorry, we're okay now, but sorry, GK, were you done there? Did you have more?
Yeah, no, that's it.
Yeah, because I think actually one word that you just mentioned there that really caught my ear was maturity, and I think that's a really key thing, because I don't think, if we had tried to if you guys had tried to do this project, even just like 7 years ago, give or take, it wouldn't have been quite the same. There just wasn't that same sort of collective intention behind it. I mean, yes, there were a lot of festivals, and there still are a lot of music festivals that are very focused on like psychedelic music. I mean, big names come to mind. You think of like Spangle and festivals, related around music like that. But now these quote-unquote transformational festivals, if that's kind of, every festival is transformational in its own way, but like these ones specifically relating to like this consciousness shift, like there's so much more to them. Like there's the music, there's the workshops. Like just explain to us, Zach or GK, like just what are some of the things that people could expect to get out of some of these festivals?
Yeah. Shall I do that one, or you want to jump in on this one, Zach?
I think you should go for it, GK.
Yeah. So I think what we're really seeing is that around that core ritual of ecstatic dance that electronic music provides, we're seeing the festivals build around them these incredibly immersive, increasingly co-created realities that are filled with an amazing amount of art. We have this visionary art, we have art installations, we have live art as a regular feature of festivals now. We see these really extensive workshop curriculums covering a whole spectrum of really new paradigm subjects as part of the festivals. We see the creation and honoring of sacred space and ceremony in a lot of different ways. That is a really interesting part of the phenomenon. We see a thriving social economy of artisans and vendors that are helping create this whole experience of returning to the village. And then this is all happening usually for multiple days in an outdoor setting where people are having that opportunity to connect with the earth. And often there's that conscious intention to do so. So I think those are some becoming core elements of what we're experiencing in, what we're describing as transformational festivals that are providing these immersive realities that people are able to live in for 3 days or 5 days or 7 days at a time.
Yeah. Like I like what you said when you said, village. Like it really does become that. It's like this temporary village, this temporary ecosystem in its own way of just all these incredibly amazing people who come together just for a blink of an eye to be able to share in this experience. So Zach, maybe if you have some more to expand on what can people expect to get out of a festival like this or like these.
I mean, I think for me, one of the big things is the co-creative experience. Something that makes this so much more different than a typical music festival or anything of that scale is that everyone who's coming is a co-creator, and especially when you get into events like Burning Man, where there's no central stage, there's no mass infrastructure brought for people to buy in and enjoy. It's an experience that is created by every member of the community, and they're giving their gift and they're sharing what they have to give to a community. And when you step back in that environment and you look back and you see this massive reflection of all these individuals coming together to create this beautiful whole, I mean, that's something that at every event that I'm at, I'm struck by, and I really think it's one of the most beautiful parts of this community.
Yeah, and I should just mention this obviously off the bat, which is an exciting thing in itself, is the fact that you guys will be attending the Lucidity Festival as well in April, and that's a continuation of the Bloom series, documentary series. Is that true? Am I understanding that properly?
That is absolutely true.
Yes. Cool, man. Well, I'm looking forward to that. I'm it's always nice to be able to connect here digitally and then to be able to reunite face to face once the time comes. So that'll be very exciting for all of us. So yeah, maybe let's just go back a bit. What was the genesis of this project? I mean, surely, GK, you had attended a few festivals throughout your day. At what point did you decide to yourself that, hey, this needs to be documented, this story needs to be told with the people who don't come to these festivals?
Yeah, it's definitely been a journey for sure. I've been part of the culture for, as I mentioned, about 15 years in a variety of capacities. As an event organizer, as a musical performer, as a facilitator, and also as a presenter. And so where this particular project really got birthed was about 4 years ago, in summer 2009, a festival in BC called the Entheos Festival invited me to offer the keynote talk of their conference portion of the festival. And I basically took that invitation as an opportunity to really kind of gather my thoughts on what exactly was happening with this culture that we were all part of, and to attempt to provide a kind of more holistic model by which we could understand what was going on in them, and why it was happening. And so basically that summer I did kind of a lot of research from more anthropological and historical perspectives, and kind of integrated that into kind of what I just experienced in 15 years of being involved and watching it develop. And so essentially I started offering this presentation at various kind of festivals and festival-related events around the Pacific Northwest. I'm from Vancouver, BC, so mainly around the Pacific Northwest. And then the big breakthrough was definitely being invited to do a talk at TEDx Vancouver in November of 2010. So I gave that talk. It took a while for it to get posted up. It got posted a week before Burning Man the next year, 2011. And so it took about a month for it to start getting really spread around. But then it had a little viral kind of push around the culture, and then that led to a number of different collaborations, and one of them was with Sid Woodward, who runs Grounded TV, which is based in the Kootenays in BC, and an awesome kind of source for music-related videos and social change-related videos that's part of the culture. He invited me to do a collaboration on a piece we did that collaboration. It's called Revelation on the Dance Floor. It came out January, February of last year. And it was such an amazing piece that got created that it hatched this kind of idea that had been brewing for a little while, which was to do a more extensive documentary series on the subject that I'd been exploring in, my presentations. And so essentially it kind of went off from there. We soon connected with Akira Chan, who's now my main production partner. The three of us just picked a number out of the air, $10,000, and ran a Kickstarter, did a Kickstarter video, did a campaign for that. That just kind of got the ball rolling, and then we ended up filming at, if we kind of pool everybody's footage, the team's grown in the number of videographers. We're now working with 8 videographers all across the West Coast, and so we filmed about, I think we're around 22, 23 festivals now. Wow. And so it's been a good year, and the team's grown, and so we've added production staff like, awesome folks like Zach and Rob Mattel, who's our production manager, and with sponsor relations director, and just kind of build that whole team to produce this series. And now, a year later, essentially, coming up next week on Thursday at community screenings, and then the following Monday online, we're releasing basically 40 to 50 minutes of content. There's going to be like a 33-minute episode, and then there's going to be 2 featurettes coming out of the gate as well, which will be about like 5 to 7 minutes, one on visionary art, one on honoring the kind of fundamental heartbeat of music and dance as part of the culture. And then that is coming together with the release of a full-length soundtrack album coming through Muti Music, available on iTunes and Amazon and Beatport and Bandcamp and all those outlets. And combined with the launch of our very own media web app, so you can basically load up all the Bloom content, get access to all the Bloom content through one interface at thebloom.tv. So that's all coming down basically next week. So we are in the thick of it, just in the thick of it, and it feels great.
Yeah. You guys have a lot to be really proud of. I mean, just being involved with production myself, like I'm quite familiar with the amount of energy and the amount of sleepless nights that you guys go through being able to bring this all together. So thank you so much for doing this, because I'm really I'm proud. I'm proud of you guys and of what we as a community have created and are now able to share with more of that global audience, because obviously you guys wouldn't have a story to tell unless the story was there to begin with, and that began when people made that free will to come together in those transformational festivals as well. So I'm just kind of I don't have a specific direction on which way we could take this, guys.
I'd love to comment on what you
go
just
ahead.
said.
Yeah go ahead.
I mean, I think you really hit it there, and that's what makes what we have to share in a week, what makes it so tremendously beautiful and moving, frankly, is that it really is that co-creative tapestry. Yeah. There are so many artists and musicians, there's so much original art, original music woven in. All the people who are, we have interviewed, who are sharing their insight, their wisdom, just the light that is shining through them, all the images, all the moments that have been captured of people sharing in their experience together at festivals, sharing their gifts, and really connecting in real authentic ways. All of that adds up to something, and it's really that co-creative weave that really is essentially what's so moving.
And Zach, do you want to jump in with any particular thought or comment?
Well, I think GK is absolutely right that what we're doing is being the storytellers. We're building a platform that's bringing all of these pieces together, whether it's musical artists that are contributing these unreleased tracks to us to use in our soundtrack, or whether they're artists that are doing pieces based around our themes, or whether it's just the words of the people, the participants, or the producers, letting them tell their story, and giving people a platform to share with each other and with the world why the culture is so important to them.
Yeah, and I'd love to just to be able to entice the audience. Maybe let's get into a little bit more detail of some of the knowledge
that they might be able to acquire at a transformational festival? I mean, you got a lot of specific themes, and maybe I think it would be good if you guys can actually share some of your own personal stories of things that you've experienced at festivals, whether it be directly related to the production of the Bloom series or not. But like when I've only been to one transformational festival, and that was the 3 Days of Light one, which we did the film about. And at that festival, there was a lot of group hugging for one thing, and there was the classes about sacred geometry, and Phoenix, who did his Merkaba activation technique. So there's a large variety of experiences just waiting for people to grasp. What have been some of the experiences that you guys have had, and just also broader opportunities and knowledge available for people to sort of take in once they go to some of these festivals? So maybe GK or...
Well, God, I mean, yeah, I've been doing it so long. It's like there's so many moments to choose from, but I think...
Does it ever get repetitive? Like, have you...
It's interesting. This last year, I've done 13 festivals in the past 10 months. I would say it doesn't get repetitive, but sometimes it takes me a little bit more to really draw me out. Mm-hmm. To really kind of get me. You have to really be bringing it to really get me in there. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And but I'm also often working, so it's a really beautiful balance of mm-hmm. work and play. But the moments they're pretty continuous. I mean, it's for so long it's felt like home, being in these particularly conscious, intentional, transformational festival settings, and so it's like getting to spend 3 days, 5 days, really feeling at home, and then connecting those different festivals and the weave of connection through those festivals. It becomes more and more just a part of my life, and it's a really positive and beautiful thing, and it's filled with so many countless moments of connection and sharing and poignant moments and sharing challenging moments, and all the aspects of being human come up when it's a bunch of days at a time, right? When it's 5 days or 7 days, you'll see the different aspects of who we are come up, and I think sharing that and being in a really authentic way with each other in a way that's really very universally supportive is transformational. It's cumulatively transformational and transformational in moments all along the way.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think I think the authenticity that is enabled at these festivals is a very key thing. If we were to sort of break down and say what is it about these festivals that makes them work, and I think it is that fact that people can show up without having inhibition, and they say I want to express myself, I want to dress how I want to dress, I want to be who I want to be, and then through the act of doing that, through the act of giving ourselves permission to be our authentic selves, we in turn give other people permission to be their authentic selves, and yeah, like you said, it really brings you to that space of feeling like you're at home, and I think that's a really cool thing, and I'm really just interested even in just sort of breaking down the word transformation. What does that really mean? I mean, to transform, I think of transient, and transient is the idea that we are constantly changing, we are constantly transforming, and it is only when we get into those moments of stagnation that do we sort of go against the natural flow of nature. We always want to be flowing and stuff. So I mean, yeah, these festivals, the fact that they work is no surprise, because all the elements are there that just enable that transformation to take place. So maybe Zach, how have you found that these festivals have transformed you, so to speak?
Well, I have probably experienced my peak highs and my valley lows at the core of my being at any number of these festivals. What I love is that I have gone through every kind of experience throughout the course of my experience with these events, which has now been 10 years or so. I started going to an event called Earth Dance in about 2003. And originally I was going because it was a place to let loose, and it was a place to go and go party and have fun and hang out with all my friends, And I was there for about a day before I looked around and I realized that there was something substantially deeper going on. And I couldn't put my finger on it then, and it took me a couple of years of exploring both within myself and other events like that to figure out why a setting like that was so powerful, and why that there was something really powerful about getting those groups of people together in an accepting environment, in a place where you could be yourself. Originally I was attracted to the fact that I could be free, but when you get into a world where everyone has that openness, then they see more eye to eye. And I'm really grateful for my experiences from that point forward, and the fact that at every level of my progression as a human being, and at every level and in every phase and flavor that I go through, I can go to these events and get a new kind of experience out and grow from it in a different way. So no matter what room I'm in, these events they give me a key to unlock a door somewhere.
And sorry, I was just going to check. GK, are you? I know you have a lot of work on your plate. Do you sort of want to set a time limit for yourself on how long you're going to be with us tonight?
Yeah, I was actually about to just kind of ease my way out and back into the edit room. I feel, unless there's anything particularly burning you wanted to know from me in particular, I would be very happy to leave you with Zach.
Just tell us again why people should be excited about the Bloom series coming out within the week. So,
I think if you are part of this culture already, here's a real chance to see our story and to see it being told in a really beautiful way that represents an incredible cross-section of this culture. And if you aren't already familiar with this culture, I think here's a beautiful window that helps frame and explain what's going on. Again, in the most creative and playful way for you to explore. And so I invite you to come check it out. It's happening. We've got about 15 to 20 confirmed screenings in a whole array of communities in Canada and the U.S. and internationally. That's just going to grow. So that's starting March 21st. Events are starting to happen starting March 21st. We've got our premiere here in Portland we're super excited about. And then online, March 25th, download our app at thebloom.tv, and then that basically is your portal to get all there's free featurettes. There's the episodes will be available on a named price basis. And then you can have a chance to watch it. And the soundtrack album as well is coming out, an incredible soundtrack. New unreleased music from the Ambassador, Kalia Scintilla, David Starfire, Rising Appalachia, and The Human Experience. Lots of really beautiful music from great artists, also coming out March 21st. And we're really thrilled to be sharing what we've been working so hard on for the past year now, and it's a living document. We really pushed it in order to come out really before this summer festival season kicks in. So we're presenting things that were filmed as recently as 3 weeks ago at Vision, Costa Rica. But this is all stuff starting from May of the past summer all the way up till like I said, 3 weeks ago, and as we go along beyond that, Lucidity being an example. So it's like fresh. This is like where the culture's at, like fresh, for you. So check it out. Bloomseries.com.
Very cool, very cool. All right, thank you very much, sir, for your time, and I wish you all the best with your continued hours left in the editing room. And thank you once again for being with us here tonight and for helping create this amazing project that I look forward to being able to view and share with as many people as I can. So, GK, we will let you go for now, and just say farewell and namaste for now.
Yeah, namaste. Thanks so much for having me on. Peace.
All right, take care. Peace.
Thanks, G.
All right, Zach, so are you cool to stick around for a little bit?
Absolutely, man.
Cool. Yeah. Now, one thing, because G just sort of mentioned it there. Like, you guys have been all over the place with these festivals. Like, he mentioned. Did you say Costa Rica? Is that where?
Yeah. We're still shaking the mud out from a great trip. We had the great opportunity to have most of our crew represented out at an event called Envision Festival in Costa Rica. It was a great adventure. And it's one of my favorite events. If you guys aren't familiar with it, I highly recommend checking it out. Envisionfestival.com, I'm sure. And it's just one of a number of events that we were able to film at. We filmed it in 5 continents over the last year. Water Woman in Ecuador is one that comes to mind. There's an event in Portugal called Boom that happens every other year. That's quite large. We wanted to make sure that we could accurately represent the worldwide culture. We had a filmer do a little bit of a run in Australia and New Zealand doing festivals called Luminate, and there's another one down there called Earth Frequency. And we have a Transformational Festivals map available on our website, and it's got 95 locations all over the world, so you can truly see that it is, we may think of it as a West Coast phenomenon, but it's truly global.
Yeah, like just the whole act of being able to like physically bring people together has always been a big proponent that I've supported, like especially through the whole like global paradigm shift communities. It's one thing to be able to like meet in a group and chat with people, but then if that group becomes like 30 people, then suddenly you got like a good excuse to sort of like dance about it. And then if it becomes like 100, then you start like putting on like sharing exchanges and workshops, and then it becomes to thousands, and it's just like so crazy in its own way. So yeah, like the physical side of it, the physical interaction that happens there is just so magical, because that's where you actually get like the overlapping of these vibrational bubbles which occurs, which is not just like something that you're just playing around with in your mind, but it's actually something that people like viscerally engage and experience with, and it's something that stays with them when they leave the festival. So now I'm curious at this point, if people listening to this show would like to, please feel free to call in and let's get some other people sharing some experiences that they've had at transformational festivals that they have attended, because I know a lot of you who are listening to this show have had plenty of your own experiences. So if you'd like to, you can call into the show using Skype. So if you scroll up to the top of the Blog Talk link, which you're currently on listening to, just click the Skype icon there, and it will launch your Skype, and then press 1 to cue the host. Or you can call in off a regular phone and call in at number 347-539-5493. That's 347-539-5493. So again, we're looking for specifically stories or just insight that you might have to share relating to this whole story of the transformational festivals and what they really represent. So yeah, now I sort of asked this question earlier, and it didn't really fully get answered, because I always like to be able to sort of break things down into like a practicality sort of sense, because for someone who might be looking in at this, they might just be like, oh, it's just a bunch of people like getting like dirty in the mud and dancing around, but like what education is actually taking place? So from your perspective, what education has been brought to these festivals? Like I think of things like even just like ecological, like permaculture, and just sustainable ideas and things. What have you seen?
Oh man, it's so expansive. Even in just this last event that we did, there was eco-green initiatives that communities could model themselves after, whether it's just waste stream. There's been the way that communities center themselves around food and everything from how we eat to how we worship to how we interact. There's people experimenting in all different kinds of ways about what paradigms work. And one of the things that I really love about these events is with each of these little events, they're sort of little testing grounds for different models. And, sometimes they work better than other times. But we're constantly learning as a community what works and what doesn't. I think the most important education that happens is within the self, and I think that's why they're so transformational, is that any change that's going to be made out in the world, I believe, is truly going to happen within the self first. And so going there and being a part of that environment, being a part of that community, and seeing and playing and participating and learning in that way, I believe radically has the power to change the way that one sees themselves as a part of a community. And I think from that comes much larger, maybe more tangible change to the outside world.
Yeah. Well, one thing that I've observed, even when I was at the 3 Days of Life festival, that always caught my interest was the fact that these festivals, the majority of them, well, actually, I would say like at 99% of them, outside of just festivals that are specifically for like music, electronic festivals or whatever, these transformational festivals are open to everyone, like all ages, and so it's not uncommon to see people bringing their children with them to these festivals. And I've always been curious to sort of like, what does this festival look like through the eyes of like a 7-8-year-old child, and for them to be able to actually grow up like into this culture, like it's just really fascinating to sort of think about that. Like, have you surely like through your experiences, like what do you sort of see? What's the reaction that you see amongst some of the younger crowd at these festivals?
I mean, I'll tell you, I wish that I was 7 or 8 years old sometimes.
Yeah, really.
I wish that I could have been so fortunate to have been raised as an integral part of this community, and many of these events really go as far as they can to create safe containers for multi-generational families, and especially for the kids, whether it's workshops all day for kids making arts and crafts, or they go on little treasure hunts, or they have special zones and areas. Many of the events have family camping areas that are generally a little bit quieter. There really are networks of support for people of any age. And I think one of the things that's really so beautiful is that it's not, they're not trying to hit an 18 to 25-year-old white upper middle class paradigm. That it's much more expansive than that, and that the invitation is really to all. And so I think it's great that people can feel safe and comfortable bringing their children, or bringing their parents. Or bringing their grandchildren, and knowing that it's a holistic community. It's one that recognizes every part of a community, not just the young kids that want to go out and have a celebration.
Yeah, like it's important for us to be able to like encourage those kids at a young age, because I mean, like those kids are going to be like shifting paradigms in their own way. So I mean, a lot of what happens at these festivals, people, they, like, I almost think of like intentionally going to a festival with the idea of like leveling up, to use that term. So you go into it, you go through these experiences, a lot of it internal, a lot of it external, and you come back more capable of just being within the world around you, and being like more confident and being able to change the world around you. So I mean, yeah, like it's really cool if we can get those kids there at a young age and just be like, hey, like here, let me teach you about these things, whether it even just be something as simple as meditation. Like I think getting kids to learn how to meditate at a young age, and obviously this topic has come up before, it's just so integral, and that's something that we just really need to get more in the habit of as a culture, no doubt. So yeah, like, Zach, do you have any other comments? Because I think we got a caller who we can probably bring onto the air at this point.
No, I just think that, providing an opportunity for people to explore themselves and explore new models of living, whether it's meditation or whether it's yoga or movement, whether it's performance arts or whether it's ecstatic dance, I think one of the things that's so special is that there's a buffet of betterment. There's so many ways to go and address yourself, and look at yourself and interact with others and share with others.
Yeah. Like I just sort of think, drawing like a juxtaposition between like modern or standard educational systems and a lot of, when we're younger, we sort of have like we have the in-class sessions, and then we have recess, and then we go out and we play. And then as we get older, suddenly recess
to be phased out of the educational process, perhaps because we never even thought of it as part of the educational process to begin with. So now, like, through these festivals, it's giving us a chance as grown-ups to, like, have that playground again, to literally, like, go out into recess and to be able to, like, let loose and do it with the understanding, like, that is where a huge part of the learning and the educational experience actually takes place. I mean, there's a lot a kid can learn about on the playground that he cannot simply just learn sitting at a desk in his classroom. So I thought that was kind of an interesting metaphor to draw upon there. So with that said, we will be bringing on some other callers here, and I'd like to be able to get into a meditation for this episode as well, so maybe we'll do that in about 20-ish minutes after the next couple callers, so stay tuned for that, and then we'll continue to have callers on after the air. So caller who is calling in through Skype, and this is actually Sid Woodward. So Sid, I know you were just messaging me on Facebook. We're going to bring you onto the air and talk a little bit more about transformational festivals. So here we go. Hello.
Hey, everybody.
Hey, Sid. You can hear us?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Hey,
Loud
Sid.
How's it going, man?
All right, so Sid, obviously your name is Sid. Where are you calling from, and what would you like to bring to the show tonight?
I'm calling from Vancouver, and I'm actually the Sid that GK mentioned earlier. I did the film with him last year and was kind of there for the start of the project and kind of put in my effort through filming for the series. And yeah, it's been a really, really amazing experience. I just kind of wanted to actually share a story of transformational festivals. That's kind of what brought me to the table and the role it's had in my life. And I think it's something that a lot of people have in common. I grew up on a farm, and I was always really alone as a kid. Like I grew up in an amazing place, had amazing things all around me, but I never had community. And there was this moment when I was 15 years old, started pretty young at these things, and I went to Shambhala, knew nobody there, and was kind of like blown away. I was looking around, I'm like, whoa, there's all these freaks and these weirdos. There's just like this, I couldn't quite understand it, but there was this point where I was sitting over top of anyone who's been to Shambhala, especially in 03, I think it was the last year they had it. There was the village stage, and it kind of was the Ewok village, it's all built up in trees. And there was this moment with me sitting there, and I think it was actually Bass Nectar, Lauren at the moment. He was playing a remix of a Saul Williams track, who at that moment I was like, Saul Williams was like, my God, very much. And I had this moment of realizing for the first time that I, as a person, wasn't alone, that there was people out there like me. Mm-hmm. And it was that moment of realizing, like, sweet, I'm not alone. This is going to be cool. And yeah, ever since, just kind of like seeing our whole community down in the living room at Shambhala, and slowly getting more and more involved in the festival culture until the point where I'm able to be a contributor to the Bloom series. It's been really amazing. One thing I did want to bring up, and I think I was mentioning this to Zach earlier and you on Facebook, is one thing I'm really kind of excited about, and I think it was something we didn't maybe see happening with the Bloom series, is a lot of the questions that are coming up around the culture. Mm-hmm. And being someone who's been part of it since the time I was, literally 15, I've seen the most amazing beauty. I've seen so much amazing things, amazing transformations happen for people. But I have, and I think we've all shared this, we've also seen some of the darker sides. And it's something that I'm really looking forward to having this conversation with. And I think it's something that it's going to especially come up around this project, because this project is taking on the culture. And it's like the one thing that really showcases it to the world. And we have seen over the last few weeks a lot of these questions come up. And I'm just really interested to maybe get Zach's thoughts on kind of, as someone who's been a bit more involved in the project, what his thoughts are on kind of some of the questions that have been coming up.
So do we know what some of these questions might be?
Well, there's questions around such things as privilege, for one. There's, substance abuse. There are these things out there, and it's stuff that we do need to talk about. We need to be open to talking about, especially because, like, that's how growth happens, is when you're willing to have these conversations. And I just see this being a really amazing opportunity for the culture to grow and really do good, but we need to just be willing to talk about these things. So it's something I'm really excited to see. There's actually some friends of ours in Vancouver who are doing a website called Decolonizing Festivals. And it's going to kind of bring up some of these questions that we all have, and, like basically just with the main questions, like how do we make festival culture as strong as possible? Mm-hmm. And Zach, I was wondering if you have any thoughts on some of the things that have been coming up.
Yeah, man. Sid Woodward has been one of the founding partners of the Bloom, and an immensely powerful mentor, I think, to the whole process for all of us. And I'm actually really glad he called in, and really glad he brought some of these up, because one of the things that's most exciting about the project for me is the dialogue that commences afterwards. You know, we're making 4 videos of an hour long, but what's going to come out of that, I believe, is really so much more powerful, because the project encompasses so much more than that. And we are in the position where we are one of the first groups that's really recognizing that this culture is a continual stream. It's not just one event here, it's not just one event there. And so I'm really excited about the dialogue that comes afterwards. And that's why for many of our community screenings, we've opened them up to have community dialogue sessions or Q&As after the fact to address not only the positive and give people a chance to share their great experiences, but the areas that we can really grow as a community, and the areas that we still have some work to do. And I have no doubt in my mind that the festival culture has some things it's doing incredibly, incredibly well. It's leaps and bounds ahead of what some might think as the default culture in the areas of co-creation and sharing and communication. But of course, there's room for progress, and hopefully, the Bloom can play a part in bringing these issues up and allowing for a platform for discussion on these things.
Yeah, absolutely. Like Sid, I'm glad you actually did bring this to the conversation as well, because I think it is something on the back of our minds. When we talk about like both sides of the coin, the positive and negative and the neutral, obviously. But like those are things that I didn't necessarily want to bring it up just because I didn't want it to like draw away from the attention of what the Bloom series actually is. But obviously when you go to these festivals, there are the cases where what else is going on there? Are these cases of like substance abuse, quote unquote? So maybe Sid, it seemed like since you brought that up, maybe you have an opinion on that you'd like to share. Because here on Paradigm Shift Radio, we've talked about entheogens and other psychedelics, and on the last episode I specifically said that I'm trying to move towards the idea of the term psychedelic not even necessarily just referring to substances, but using the term psychedelic to refer to the idea of clear mind and just like that awareness state. But in terms of like substances themselves, that is something that we do have to be open to talk about, because if we're not going to have that conversation, then how do we expect to be able to move forward as a culture? And yes, we here at Paradigm Shift Radio are not advocating the use of these substances, but we are promoting the discussion relating around them. So Sid, if you have some thoughts on that, I'd be curious to hear what you might have to say.
Yeah, well, first off, I give full credit to all these substances that we're talking about. They've done amazing things for me in my life. I will not shy away from saying that, and I can say that for a lot of people I know too. So first off, I just want to state that I'm not afraid to ever state that fact, because for me, one thing is I think a lot of these substances do hold amazing sacred power that we need to be able to tune into. I fully accept that. But at the same time, it's when not used for the right reasons. I've really been tuning into a lot of the original guys who were doing a lot of the LSD tests back in the day, and there's this one scientist where I was supposed to do an interview with him too, eventually. But he's kind of been seeing, and he saw how it all went, where people were using these substances for going out to a show and seeing pretty lights.
Yeah.
And he's like, wow, there's so much more to it. It's almost just like you're wasting such a sacred experience where you can take so much from it. So it's kind of why, and I see this happening more and more at festivals, they're taking on a more serious role with it, and I think that's really good. But at the same time, I think, just to do something to go see Pretty Lights, sorry, that's not a Pretty Lights as in the music band. Anyways, Pretty Lights. But it's it's just when we do intake these substances, we need to be doing it with full intent, and I think we've all witnessed too many times where friends are going downhill at the same time. It's when they just get kind of overwhelmed by that, and they kind of maybe start to get a little bit lost in that a little bit. And I think we need to be able to, right now, have that conversation. But at the same time, I kind of started off with, I fully see the importance of all these substances, and it's an interesting conversation to have because it is such a touchy subject. But
Yeah, and it's funny though, because I mean, as touchy as it is, I think it's like one of the most stigmatized aspects of this transformational festival topic that's been around going back to like the 60s and 70s, right? I mean, you know, like if you were to just talk to someone just at like a, you know, on the street or whatever, and you're just like, hey, what do you think about things like Woodstock? You know, they'd just be like, oh, you know, just a bunch of hippies on drugs, and you know, whether that was just like cannabis or mushrooms or LSD being the, you know, the substance of the era and everything like that. So I mean, yeah, like that is a part of the story. Is it the prevalent part of the story that we need to focus on? No, but it is still part of the conversation. So I mean, what I would always be curious about, and this is really just me kind of brainstorming at this moment, you know, like what would happen if we as a culture were able to actually like sanction opportunities for people to use these substances in a ways that would promote positive use and positive results from them, you know, rather than trying to say like, hey, like we're going to make this substance illegal, so you're going to have to like go to some really sketchy guy to get it, and it may not be clean, and then you're going to have to like do it in your basement, and then like, you know, God knows what happens after that, right? But rather if we were to actually have like a safe space where they can work with shamans, you know, and actually work with people who are familiar with the spirits of these substances and be able to help guide them through it. Like, I mean, I'm sure you guys have sort of thought this in your own way. Now, I mean, I'm not like, see, because I don't really want to be able to like, I don't want to have to like specifically give names or labels and stuff like that. But I mean, I don't know. Like, you guys would know more than me? Do scenarios like this take place at these transformational festivals? Like, are there, if you know what I'm asking?
Well, I think pretty much with the question, the society thing, I honestly think it would be a huge healing thing for, if done with intent and done with proper teaching and proper surroundings and all this stuff. I think it literally could help a lot of the social issues that we see today. And I do see that happening at festivals. I fully accept the fact that it's like they're taking it, we're taking that on. It's like, okay, we can provide a safe, conscious environment for this to take place. And there's teachers around, there's all this stuff. It is happening, and it's really important. And that's one I have to give full credit to a lot of festivals, especially more some of the more conscious festivals. And at the same time, I'm fully not trying to say like that's what these festivals are about in any way. But they do provide that for people if that's what they're looking for, and it can do a lot of good. But when people go about these things without that intent, they maybe get a bit more lost in just the not actually, you know, the foresight or the knowledge ahead of time when they're going into taking part in such things. That's where the danger can lie. So that's why I think, like, you know, supporting that aspect is going to be really important. And as a culture, period, we need to be able to, like, you know, change our views on all these things. So, but I don't want to hijack this too much with this topic. But it's something that I think was worthwhile talking about.
Yeah. So Zach, did you want to go ahead?
Yeah. No, I just want to say that I think that's really important, and these are the kind of issues that I think are the first to come to people's mind. You know, is sort
Absolutely.
of the stereotypes, if you will, of how somebody from the outside might see these events. And I think with that issue in particular, you know, I think the culture isn't necessarily one that promotes entheogens. I think it's socially accepted a little bit more, you know, and in getting back to the bloom a little bit specifically, in episode 3, you know, that is one of the issues that we're going to tackle, because we are going to be talking about, you know, maybe the stickier issues and not entirely avoiding places where growth really needs to happen. And, you know, we've got some great interviews, some that I've seen from artist Android Jones, for instance, who's world-renowned. He did this, you know, he's done massive pieces on the Australian Opera Hall in Sydney, and you know he's an incredible artist, and he talks very much about the light side and the dark side of what can be apparent at festivals, even his own experience with entheogens, and how at one point, you know, they were so critical to his experience and his path and his art, but how he's sort of progressed beyond that. And I think it's a great example of just where we are at the culture, where we can understand that there's a place for things like that. But it's in no way required, and it's all about your mentality and your approach to that. And I think in festivals and in this series, it's a really great place for that conversation to come up.
Yeah, like I think, you know, this whole discussion about entheogens and where they are within culture goes hand in hand goes hand in hand with the evolution of these festivals. You know, as culture evolves, these festivals evolve. As festivals evolve, so do these opportunities for us to have these conversations. And yes, maybe we will, you know, day by day move closer towards a society where things can be approached like with less stigmatization. Because I mean, that is evidently what I would be able to hope for. And not to say that like these substances are necessary, but yes, they do serve a value in terms of everything on this earth is like here for some sort of purpose. Like, what is the purpose of these substances? Like, that's where we need to have more conversation about that. But yeah, I think, you know, we'll just sort of leave it there for now and maybe come back at another time on another episode of Paradigm Shift Radio, because it obviously is a recurring theme. So I'm sure we got some other callers who we can bring onto the air. Sid, is there anything else you would like to mention at this moment, and then we'll just sort of move on to another caller?
I just want to say I have lots of love for this whole culture and community, and it's done so much for me in my life. And yeah, I just want to just make sure that everyone out there knows it's like by asking these questions, you're not, you know, it's not hating the community or hating the club or hating the like culture. It's to help it grow, because we need to be able to talk about these things. So yeah, I just want to, and yeah, I'm more than excited about how everything's been coming together with the Bloom series, and it's kind of grown way beyond what I think me and maybe GK initially figured there would be. But yeah, I just have to say if GK and Akira are listening right now, lots of love to those two guys for everything they've been doing. So very cool.
All right, Sid, good to hear with you, good to connect with you, and thank you once again for joining us here tonight. So
yeah, thanks, Sid. And if anyone's not familiar with Sid Woodward and the work that he does, Get Grounded TV, you know, they're a real inspiration. They're one of the best media resources, not only for the festival community, but social change and social progress in general. You know, the work that they're doing there is really amazing. It's been an honor to work with him throughout the last year. To have him as a part of the Bloom crew, and to just even become familiar with the work that they're doing, because they're really doing some amazing things.
Very cool, very cool.
Thanks, man.
Yeah, brother.
So I just posted the link for Grounded TV into the live chat, and I'll be sure to include that into the show notes. And Sid, yeah, I'm going to be talking with you off the air at some point, because I would love to just be able to get more connected. And yeah, because I mean, said and done, like our community, it's not super huge. So I mean, it's important for us to be able to work together and really just connect with those of us who are really sort of on the forefront of using the social media here today and helping tell that story, so that we can combine these elements to just really make the most of it. So Sid, thank you once again, and we shall talk to you in the future.
Peace, guys.
All right, take care. Peace. All right, so Zach is still with us, and it is currently about 12 a.m. in the morning Eastern Standard Time. And yeah, let's bring on one more caller, and then we'll do our meditation. And Zach, are you fine to stick around for the rest of the show? I mean, you're more than welcome to, I guess.
Yeah, I'm on West Coast time, so for me it's pretty early, and I enjoy hanging out.
Right on, cool. Okay, so with that said, we're going to bring on another caller. So, caller from area code 540, we are going to bring you on. So, caller from area code 540, get ready, we're going to bring you on to Paradigm Shift Radio. Here we go. Hello, caller, can you hear us?
I can.
All right, awesome. Caller, what is your name, where are you calling from, and what would you like to bring to the show?
Well, my name is Spencer, and I'm from Virginia in the U.S. And I just want to talk a little bit about the Transformational Festival topic there. Well, one, talking about kids at these festivals. Last summer I went to Rootwire, which has so far been my absolute favorite festival. A whole lot of young kids there, and they all loved it, I could tell, and they were having a blast. Lots of activities for all ages. That's just one point I wanted to bring. I really like the point, I think it was made a comparison to in education having recess and that ending at a certain age. Yes, and there's definitely a lot that you learn during recess-like times. Social interaction, how to, behave around other people, and just how to treat other people in general. And unfortunately, I feel a lot of younger kids who have recess don't realize the educational value of it, and they don't really pick up what they should be picking up just because they're, young kids brought up in a certain way. But having this chance later on in life, and this is what I really liked, the comparison you made there, having the knowledge of what you could have learned back then, bringing that to now, and looking at these events in that way, I really feel like you can learn a lot of very valuable personal lessons. It's a really cool comparison. I like that a lot.
Yeah, no, I was that one just sort of like came to me in the moment, but yeah, no, I think it's definitely worth reiterating. So cool, and yeah, Spencer, was there anything else in specific? Like, I mean, what have your experiences been like at the festivals that you've attended?
Well, the only truly transformational festival I've been to is the one I mentioned called Rootwire.
Right.
And I've been to some other festivals, but I feel like that they were mostly geared towards drawing a lot of people and, having, good music, but bigger names instead of focusing more on the experience of the audience. And so I could tell the difference between the two from the moment I, got into this place and got all set up. And something just felt different at first, and then as the days went on, I could tell I just felt completely at home. I felt like I had just walked into a huge family gathering, and I met some really great people. I'm not usually very outgoing, and so walking into a place like that and feeling 100% comfortable with sharing experiences with strangers that I had never met before, that was really cool. Kind of showed me a part of myself I hadn't really seen before. And so I think it's really cool to have those kinds of experiences, and also that's what that web series is doing, kind of reaching other people with this experience without actually having it, but just being aware of it is pretty powerful in itself.
Yeah, like I think what would be really cool about the Bloom series documentary, and Zach just sort of back this up in your own words, but I imagine it's going to be like a very visceral experience for the people watching it, and that's always something that I try to work into my own work, my own production. Going back to like the 3 Days of Light documentary, is that I want people to be able to like see video footage of like this massive group hug, and to actually like have a tingling sensation like run up their spine while watching it, if you know what I mean. So Zach, are people going to get that out of the Bloom series?
I mean, I think absolutely. I get that when I'm watching even just the clips as they're being edited. I really, one of the reasons that I became so compelled to become involved with the project is because I had never seen something that so much resembled the experiences that I was having internally and the things that I was drawing from these events. And I think Spencer brought a really important point of, from a poster, from a bill, the events may both be called festivals, but as soon as you arrive that there is a distinctly different quality there that makes it a much different kind of experience, and we GK and Akira, they were out at Rootwire, they were filming at Rootwire. It's definitely one of the transformational events that we highlight, and we're actually working on a piece for the future about taking the transformational festival culture to the heartland of America.
Yeah.
And I particularly resonate with that because I happen to have been born in Ohio, and I grew up in Ohio where Rootwire is. And so for me, it's really powerful to see this culture that I have become a part of and started contributing to and really called my home and my tribe, going to the heartland of America and spreading out east, sort of this reverse manifest destiny, if you will. And there's all these other events that are just starting to pick up. There's Gratifly that's going to be happening in the Southeast this year, and all these other events. And so, I'm really glad that Spencer called in and was able to relay his experiences, because that's his experience happening 1,000 times over, 10,000 times over, is what's so powerful about this culture and why we were compelled to embark on this journey.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Like I think the key thing that will be reiterated throughout this story being told, and it's what Spencer said, is the idea that like if you feel like you're at home, in what other situation do we have within like this modern day culture, or at least in North American culture, can you really do that? Can you really just walk up to a group of people you've never met before and say like I want to hug you and I want to mean it as I do it, and I want to tell you and I want to listen to you? I mean, so many people, they have like these sort of like their shields up, they don't let people in their bubbles, whereas like with this, it's just that expansion of the heart chakra, if you literally want to think about it that way, and just being able to experience it just communication wise and just like physically, and it's like it's one thing to talk about these festivals, but I mean, until you actually experience one for yourself, it's a whole nother thing. And so that's where out of this, for people who are listening to this who might never have been to a festival, please consider finding one that is near you, and there's plenty that are out there. And consider, just putting a little money to the side and maybe planning like a road trip with some friends and doing that, because it's the spring is almost here, and that's when festival season really kicks off. So there's definitely a lot of opportunity ahead of you. And if you'd like to get an idea on what you might be able to expect from some of these festivals, please, in addition to checking out the Bloom series, check out the Journey to Rockmont 3 Days of Light documentary that I got up online, and that's similar to the Bloom series. It's a visceral experience of the festival. And ParadigmShiftCentral.com/JTR, as in Journey to Rockmont. And I know a lot of you have already checked that out, but again, just please feel free to share that again in the meantime. But yeah, Spencer, was there anything else that you felt that you would like to mention? I mean, without me having to ask you a specific question.
Not really. I just had those few points. One thing, just wanted to, make people aware. I didn't know about this for a while, but even if you can't really afford a ticket, I haven't been to one festival that you can't sign up to volunteer, and
that is true.
And be able to experience it for just some time, which it's a good amount of time. But if you can't afford it, there's options as well.
Good point. So,
and I think that does something great for people's feeling of contributing. After my first few festivals, I became a perpetual volunteer, doing anything and everything I could. Not only because, I didn't have to pay for a ticket into the event, but because helping to make it happen was so important to me, and helping other people, go through the transformational experiences that I had been through in their own flavor and in their own light. That was something that even to this day, I mean, even in Vision Festival, I was playing a production role in that one. So, I still really feel like finding a way to participate. There is not a lot of barriers to accessing these events. They're happening often enough, and they're happening close to wherever you are. We have a Transformational Festivals map at thebloomseries.com I mentioned earlier. You can go and find one near you and find a way to get involved. We have a PDF you can download. You click the name of the event, it'll take you to their website. You just contact them, and it's easy as that.
Perfect. Well, I'm glad you guys did that. So again, for people wondering if there's a festival near them, go to thebloomseries.com and you will see the page that they got set up to show you where the festivals are that are close to you. So very, very, very cool, guys. All right, really enjoying this episode. A lot of productive conversation coming out of it. And I think at this point, we'll just sort of segue and just get into our meditation that we usually do within this episode. And then we'll come back onto the air and we'll have some more callers for the last half hour of the show. So Spencer, we'll let you go for now. Thank you very much for calling in. And now, correct me if I'm wrong, Spencer. Like, have we talked before? Are you? Like, I'm just trying.
Yeah. We've had a few back and forth here and there.
Okay. Okay. Cool. And are you with the Paradigm Shift community where you are?
There's not one here.
There's not one. Okay.
I've been thinking about trying to start one up, but
okay.
A lot of other commitments I have to take care of.
For sure. When the time is right.
Exactly, man.
Cool, man. All right. Well, Spencer, thanks again for joining us here tonight on Paradigm Shift Radio, and say farewell for now. So.
Thanks, man. You too. Yeah.
Cheers. Cool. And Zach, we'll keep you. I'll bring you back onto the air once we sort of get through our meditation, or Sorry, rather than just presuming, actually, I'll give you the choice. Would you be interested in leading us into our meditation?
I'd like to sit and hang out for it. I'll let you lead it.
Okay, cool. I was going to keep it pretty simple anyway, so nothing too complicated for this one. So, okay, cool. So, Zach, we'll just put you in the mute for now, and then I'll bring you back on once you sort of go through the meditation. So,
all right,
sound good? Sounds good. Cool. All right, so everybody who is with us here tonight, so we currently have 45 users in the live chat, which usually means that there's close to around 250 live listeners at least at this moment tuning into the broadcast. So keep those numbers in mind in terms of the synchronized global meditation that we are doing once again here on Paradigm Shift Radio. And with this one, maybe I think it's always good to sort of set an intention for yourself before you go into a meditation. I mean, it's not something you always have to do. And like we've said before, there's so many different ways to meditate. So, I mean, maybe with this one, just take a breath just to begin with and just sort of think to yourself if there's a specific intention that you want to sort of bring into your mind, maybe even just a couple. So, just something along the lines of humility, speaking truth, and aligning with your higher self. So if you feel that those resonate with you, then maybe just keep those 3 simple intentions with you in your mind. So humility, speaking your truth, and aligning with your higher self. So just get comfortable once again. Sit however you need to sit. Have your hands either just gently placed on the tops of your thighs or in your laps or wherever they need to be so that you're at the utmost comfortable position at this moment in time. And just take that nice deep breath together as a group. Just nice gentle inhale. And exhale throughout the nose. And just continue to do this. Continue to inhale. As you continue to meditate as a practice, you should find that you'll be able to get into this familiar space more efficiently. Not that there is any rush, but it's just a familiarity that comes with doing it and repeating it. So find that place of calmness, that place of stillness. Just exhale. Now for this meditation, in the background, we're actually going to use the sound of one of the elements. And we're going to use the element of water for this one. And like water, we too must constantly flow, constantly allow ourselves to move with the current and to take the form and to overcome any obstacle that should present itself to us. Understanding that sometimes obstacles are there simply for our higher selves to help direct us to a place where we have yet to fully realize we are meant to be. So again, just gently inhale and exhale. Humility, speak your truth, connect with your higher self. Allow yourself to be calm. Allow yourself to be at peace. Allow yourself to be water. So just continue to hear the water within your own mind, the cosmic energy that is constantly flowing through you with abundance. Just take another deep breath in through the nose together as a community, gathering, centering our energy, and gently exhale, setting forth our intention to collectively be the change that we wish to see in this world, through humility, through speaking our truth, and through aligning with our higher selves. And I'll just take a moment to say this now for all of you who are listening, for all of you who have ever listened, and for all of you who will listen in the future. The light within me honors and respects the light within you. Namaste. So I think I heard some of you mutter namaste back on the other end there. And with that said, we'll just sort of ease our way back into this conversation that we're having here tonight on Paradigm Shift Radio. And it's been a very enjoyable one. I think there's a lot to talk about in terms of this topic relating to transformational festivals. So we'll bring Zach onto the air, and then we got a few more callers lined up, and we'll wrap up the show. And before you know it, we'll be done, and we'll be doing the after party hangout as well. Though this time, if someone is willing to host the after party hangout, please message me on Facebook if you have me on Facebook, just to be able to save me bandwidth, because I may not be around for the entire Google after party hangout, which is something that we usually do to help continue the conversation beyond the 2 hours that this show is limited to. So if you wanted to get on the show and maybe didn't get a chance, check out the Google Hangout after party, and the link for that will be posted at the Facebook page at facebook.com/ParadigmShiftRadio. So stay tuned for that. All right, so we're going to bring Zach onto the air, and then we'll keep going from there. Hello, Zach.
Hey, brother.
Welcome back, brother. Cool.
Yeah, man.
All right. Did you have fun?
Yeah, that was great. Thank you.
Yeah. I hope you guys were able to hold your bladder for that one. Too strenuous. But anyways, okay. Well, we'll bring another caller onto the air, and we're going to bring on caller who's calling in from Skype with the Skype name Little Zippy. So Little Zippy, if you're on Skype.
I think I actually know this one. Yeah, this is Zipporah Lomax. She is one of our incredibly talented videographers. She's an amazing photographer as well. She's also one of our editors.
Perfect.
Hi Zippy.
All right, okay. So we'll bring Zippy onto the show. I mean, we weren't fully intending on bringing more of the creative team onto the show, but here they are. So bringing on Zippy. All right, Zippy, if you're ready. Hello.
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can. Welcome.
Hello.
Welcome to Paradigm Shift Radio. So, sorry, what?
Thank you.
What name would you like to go by?
My name is Zipporah.
Okay. Oh,
yes. Thank you. And yes, thank you. You made me laugh because I had typed to Zach, why do I suddenly have to pee? So thank you very much for that.
Yeah.
I'm actually calling in from Costa Rica. I'm still here. I was down here to film Envision Festival with the Bloom crew, and also for the Envision Festival, I was making a promo video for them. So I'm still down here making a promo video for one of the producers who's doing a teacher training. So I'm here also between filming that. I am at my laptop working on an edit, one of the featurettes for episode 1. So yes, I figured it wouldn't hurt to have another of the actual creative team chime in.
Yeah, okay. So, I mean, just sort of going back to what we were kind of talking about earlier, like the creative side of this project, how has it been for you? I mean, from your perspective of things.
Well, yeah, I joined forces with Akira and GK and Sid. At that point, the team was still pretty small. I guess that was in June. And I had come out here to Envision last year, and I came to actually sing with Alicia. Not sure if you know of her. She's an amazing female producer. And I had quite my own transformative experience. I've been going to Burning Man since 2000, but I had never really gone to other festivals. Burning Man was pretty much the cream of the crop for me, and I'd never really sought outside of that for anything. I was pretty fulfilled with that experience. But Envision really opened my eyes to this burgeoning culture that I really felt came from that seed, or what I had experienced as the seed of it was Burning Man. And I was quite inspired, needless to say, and really sort of started to understand part of what I'm meant to do here in this particular incarnation that has to do with my camera. And I pretty quickly became somebody who, at least a lot of people know my work as a still photographer, starting at Symbiosis last year. So I joined forces with them in June, and at that point it was really just Akira and Sid and Jeet K and maybe a couple other people that were kind of silently in the wings. But pretty quickly also we brought Zach on to shoot stills, and another amazing videographer who hasn't been mentioned yet, also still photographer and videographer, Ryan Mitchell, who's really young but incredibly talented, and you'll see a lot of his footage as well when you watch the episode. It's just been really incredible. I mean, at that point our team was still pretty small, and it was before there was really a production team, before Zach put on the other hat and joined the production team as well. And we were traveling together. We were this motley little family, and it's been really incredible to be given the opportunity to witness in the way that we have been, and to be welcomed as witness has been really pretty special. And I know that there are, like Sid said, there are all kinds of things that we haven't necessarily addressed yet in the trailer and in episode 1, but we're well aware of the conversations that are beginning because of this. And I think that at this point we've wanted to focus primarily on the positive, and it has felt really good to focus primarily on the positive. I think that the world needs more of that. And so it's not that there's not an awareness of the other things, and it's not that we don't intend to address those things. I just think that so far what has presented itself to us that has wanted to be witnessed and has wanted to be spoken to or spoken of, and we are storytellers, and the stories that have presented themselves to us have been predominantly light-filled, and it just really has been really beautiful to have such an intimate view in. I know for me particularly, I did join the team initially as a still photographer, but at Beloved Festival was when I really stepped into this new relationship with light, where it's more like I'm having conversations with it, and something really opened up for me there, and now video has really been like overtaken everything. But again, it's like these transformations have happened for me, so I'm not just witnessing the transformations that are happening for other people. I am there as witness, but I am also there as participant.
For sure.
And I think that you'll hear people say this a lot. And as I'm going through these interviews, the thing that I'm working on is about visionary artists. And as I'm listening to their words, and this is such a common theme, what is so incredible about these festivals is that there's this line that used to be drawn between audience and performer that is really blurring. And there is still a stage, and there are still audiences, but there's such this blurring, and there's much more of a melding, and everyone is co-creating this thing. And it's been an honor. Of course, there lately have been the voices that are sort of poking at me from the sidelines, saying you're not dealing with these other darker issues. And I think that it's been an interesting experience for all of us to sort of stay steady in our footing and stay true to what we really feel is a story that wants to be told in a way that is light-filled. So that's my perspective.
I think you guys are doing a very good job with the approach, because I mean, yeah, obviously, you know, like it's still within that initial first step, but yeah, you're right. You can't open up episode 1 talking about, you know, all the quote unquote like dark stuff sort of thing. Like, you want to be able to share this story, this culture in a very positive light, and to be able to do that, you know, you just need to talk about like the very things that are going to captivate people's attention. And you said it a couple times when you were talking there, but you're right. There's these intimate moments that take place in these festivals, in these cultures, that are just quite uncommon, quite a rare occurrence, like outside in sort of, you know, like a downtown city sort of thing. But I'd be curious to hear from both Zach and Zipporah, within like Comfort, what has been some of the most intimate moments that you have captured on film, or even maybe just witnessed?
I'll let Zipporah start on that one.
Go ahead.
Okay, I'm sure Zach can anticipate what I'm about to say here. I've actually really been trying to change the language around photography and videography in general, because I really feel that there is a lot to be said just in the languaging around it and how we approach our subjects. So I really try not to use the word capture, because capture or take, I feel like they insinuate that you're going in and you're actually like, you're going in to take something away from it. And so I prefer the word honor. And for me, I really feel that when I choose to press the shutter, it has to do with me first being there and being, like I said, I'm part of it somehow, but yet I am witness. And so there's this honoring that happens when I'm pressing the shutter. I'm honoring a moment that's unfolding in front of me, and the resulting image or video is testament to something that I've been witness to. So there have been so many. It's really difficult for me to isolate, but I would say you mentioned these like group hugs, and so it's actually pretty funny, because the very last clip from my footage of Envision is one of those exact massive hugs where everyone's just running from every direction and throwing themselves in it, and then at some point somebody pushed me in, and I was right in the middle of this undulating, oming pile of hugging bodies, and
yeah.
I mean, I really didn't have any choice. I just got pushed into it. So I think there have been so many intimate moments, and you're going to see a lot of them, and I think me in particular, my style, I do shoot very intimately. I'm not the videographer who shoots really cinematic, like wide images. I do, because I know that we need that footage, but my gift is that I go in and I'm really close with my subjects, and you'll see that. You'll see beautiful moments between a mother and a child on a dance floor, or you'll see really intimate moments between two partners lovingly embracing. You'll see absolute euphoria on the face of a dancer, and right in there, like you're next to them. And so for me to try and say that there's been one would I just can't even possibly try. So I would say that, again, one of the things that has been so incredible is that I feel so welcomed by the community as that witness. And the more I show up and the more people see the resulting photographs that go along with the video that I shoot, the more people trust. And the more people trust, the less they change what they're doing when the camera comes near them. And that is a really incredible thing to witness also, is people really settling into themselves in a way that is really grounded and strong and beautiful, and letting us see that and letting us show that. So I think it's sort of all the way across the board. From performers, I mean, I have this incredible privilege of being given full reign. I get to, like, you know, bounce around on the sidelines and shoot from the sides of the stage and from behind the stage, and even if I'm feeling extra courageous, go up right in and look at the drumsticks hitting the drums, and it's a pretty incredible privilege to be given that kind of intimate glimpse. So I would say almost like 90% of my shots, I feel I've been given a really intimate glimpse, and so it's all of it.
Yeah. Oh, I think that's a fair answer.
Yeah. Yeah.
Totally. Yeah, no, I film in itself is just this incredibly amazing thing when you sort of step back and look at it from like a metaphysical perspective. I mean, really, like, what are we doing here? Like, you know, like we're like, I know what you're saying, you know, we're not quote unquote capturing, but rather we are just taking a moment, like a single moment. I mean, even when you just think of like in terms of like the difference between a still frame image such as a photo and the difference between video, but I mean, which is a series of these still frames in sequence. But I mean, still, you know, like right now here in the moment, it's created by like a representation of like the matter that creates it. But like within that video footage, like it's a world in itself, and the fact that it can like spark new memories and just literally give people a chance to connect with it. I mean, your film, like the Bloom series, like it's going to make some people cry. Like you guys realize that, like for the right reasons as well.
I mean, what we've done, even that series preview, I mean, that made me cry.
Absolutely.
You know? And I've been there witnessing it, and even just, you know, it's been great that the community supports the project in a way where they're willing to be vulnerable, they're willing to be honest, they're willing to be expressive in that genuine form. And then, you know, we have such an amazing team of artists that can blend all these layers together and put them together in a way that's really visually beautiful. So, you know, there's a great emotional component and a visual component to it as well.
Yeah, cool. And Zach, sort of going back to our previous question, is there a particular moment that comes to mind for you in terms of like, just, I mean, not even necessarily an intimate, but just something that just makes for a good story to share, something that, you know, people just would have trouble even imagining maybe?
I mean, you know, I think if you haven't experienced Burning Man, that's a really good place to start. You know, I was just even going over some of the clips because I'm down here in the Bay Area getting ready to meet with those guys. But, you know, I think we have a really great way of authentically communicating and accurately showing both the physical representation and the emotional essence of something that is so outside of what people are typically used to. And that's what I'm excited about. I'm excited about, you know, exposing people to this parts of these culture that they might not be aware of, but doing it in a way that accurately honors and represents the community that we're all members of. Yeah, for sure. And maybe, you know, just out of curiosity, because it's come up a couple times, like when we talk about like Burning Man, you guys know more about that than I do. Like, was Burning Man sort of like ground zero for these kinds of festivals? I mean, has it been around the longest? You know, Burning Man is one of the oldest ones. I think one of the reasons that it's so easily identifiable is because it's one of the more mainstream. It's one of the larger, you know, with over 50,000 people in attendance, and it's one of the most easily recognizable examples. And you know, in the interest of full disclosure, I also work for Burning Man, and it's a really accessible thing. You know, at this point, most people have heard of Burning Man. Most people have some sort of vague concept, but there still is those stereotypes or those certain expectations of what it's about, which is kind of hilarious because one of the core principles is that there's no actual definition to the meaning of the event. I just think it's one of those things that, you know, you have a bunch of smaller events of 2,000 or 3,000 or 4,000 people, and then Burning Man is one of those places where a lot of the different tribes can come together and build a city along with many, many others, people from all over the world. You know, I think Burning Man is one of the great family reunions that we have. Yeah, that's a good way of putting it. And it definitely is that. Go ahead.
I was just going to add, as far as the roots of it, because this is one of the things that was brought up sort of right away. My mother, you know, from the 60s was saying, well, this isn't new. This started a long time ago. And one of the other, there are two other things that have been mentioned by a few people, and I would agree the Oregon Country Fair, and also the old Renaissance Fair that used to take place in North Bay in the San Francisco Bay Area. Those preceded Burning Man, and of course they were different, but they were still these sort of like temporary autonomous zones, both the Oregon Country Fair and Renaissance Fair. So I just wanted to chime in and say that because a lot of people have brought that up. And I know that we've discussed it in production teams, and I know that will be something we will also be visiting and touching upon at some point in the series. So just, at some point.
Cool.
Yeah.
So, with that said, first of all, I just want to thank you guys again for being here. And we only have about 3.5 minutes left on the show, or less than 3 minutes, just to sort of wrap it up. Just some final closing points on from both of you, just like less than, just a couple points on why people should be interested in these festivals and also the Bloom series, which is coming out very soon. Zach, if you want to go ahead.
Yeah, I think that our project for people both within and outside of the community, because I think it's not a hard line, I think that there's a place for everyone. It's a really great chance to come to understand and see this culture, and it's just another form of co-creating. This is just another expression of the community sharing and telling stories and really getting a chance to connect with each other. I think, like many of these events, one of the great things about this project is going to be people's own interpretation and their own experiences and their own perspective and how it moves them and what it inspires within them, not what meaning we dictate. It's not up to us to give meaning. It's up to people to find meaning, and that's something that I'm really excited about in the future. So I encourage people to check it out, get involved. thebloomseries.com, facebook.com/thebloomseries. There's a lot of community screenings shaping up. There's going to be so many more. Get involved, come and participate. We have a large network it's not just a creative team or a production team. It's really this large network of artists and artisans, community leaders, bridge builders, communicators. If this is a culture or a project or a community that inspires you in any way, please don't hesitate to contact us and get involved.
All right, for sure. And Zipporah, I don't want to have to just sort of like cut your mic on this one, but can you just like say a little farewell, one couple word before we wrap this up here?
Hey, yeah, no problem. I just wanted to leave you with a little quote. First of all, to say, don't go to these festivals looking for a transformational experience. Just go because you're seeking to expand the way you already see things. And I just want to leave you with this. One of the producers of Envision Festival, who's a really dear friend of mine, walking on the beach with him a couple days after the festival, he said, that was one of the most incredible 2 weeks of my life, talking about the build and the festival. And he said this: if you want to have a transformational experience, don't go to a transformational festival, throw one. So I'll leave you with that.
There you go. All right, guys. Thank you. Yeah, thank you so much for joining us here tonight. And just some final notes just before we wrap this up. We will be posting the link for the Hangout in the Facebook page, facebook.com/ParadigmShiftRadio. And please, if you have not yet, at least check out the funding page for the Journey to Lucidity and contribute to that either simply by sharing or actually donating. And ParadigmShiftCentral.com is where you'll find all your links, and add me on Facebook at facebook.com/SkullBabylon and youtube.com/SkullBabylon. So we're ending the show here, guys, and we will see some of you in the after party hangout. Zach and Zipporah, thank you once again for joining us here today. So you can say farewell with me. Namaste to all our internet friends out there.
Namaste.
Namaste.
See you guys in the future. All right. Take care.
See you on screen.
There you go.